To me, a divorce is kind of like a death. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Angie. If you are new here, today we are going to talk all about how to become an independent, happy person after you have experienced a divorce, a separation, or the ending of a long-term relationship. Hit that subscribe button and grab yourself a cup of tea because I just want to share my story with you, and I'm hoping that it will help to resonate with kind of what it is that you're going through right now, and maybe it'll give you a little bit of guidance and help to get you through this really tough time. So my husband and I met in college and we started dating, and 3 weeks after we started dating, we ended up moving in together. And so that was kind of like a very fast moving relationship, and any relationship that I had before him was basically a month. That was the longest that I had a boyfriend. So we moved in together and we got married. A couple of years into our relationship, we had 2 children. So in total, we were together for 14 years and we were married for almost 10 years. After I had my son was when I started to want to change my outside physique. And I will link a video up here about building self-confidence, and it kind of comes around into what happened to me and how I had decided that I wanted to leave my marriage. I started losing weight, which was great. It was very good for my outer self-confidence as well as my inner self-confidence. But what happened was, during this time of me losing weight and gaining confidence, I realized that I wanted more things out of my life. And our relationship was okay. It wasn't bad. He was an excellent father and is a very good father to this day. I'm very blessed to have that and thankful for that. But we didn't work anymore. I think the thing is that when you're in your 20s, it's very different than when it is in your 30s and when it is in your 40s, and the things that you're willing to accept about a person or the things you're willing to put up with. And in your 20s, you're a lot more relaxed about those things. But as you go through a relationship, those little things that didn't necessarily matter at the beginning, like maybe, doing the dishes and you coming home from work and the dishes are still in the sink. That's a big issue for me. And I know that sounds trivial, but when it happens over and over and over again, that was kind of like the thing that was like breaking the camel's back. So after I had lost some weight and was feeling more confident about who I was and the things that I really wanted in my life that were making me happy, I was coming to those realizations that my husband and I were no longer on that same page. We weren't going in the same direction. I wanted a lot of more things from life, and I didn't feel like he was giving them to me, and we were having a lot of conflict and arguments, and what I wasn't giving to him and what he wasn't giving to me, and we just weren't flowing, or we weren't in alignment with each other anymore over the years, and it kind of just started to eat away at the relationship. And what I started finding was that I was becoming resentful of who he was. And the thing is that when you're in a relationship with somebody, a lot of people think that when they get married that you can change them, or like when you commit to each other that you're going to be able to change the person that they are in order to make them suit better for you. But that's not the truth of the matter, is that you can't change them. And I knew that I couldn't change my husband, and why should I want to change my husband? He is who he is, and if I can't accept who he is, then I shouldn't try to change him to suit myself. I kind of remember the day that I said, that's it. We had an argument. I don't even know what the argument was, but we were having this argument, and I was just like, you know what? And it was something that I was like thinking about for a long time. I had discussed it with my best friend. It wasn't a spur of the moment thing in the heat of an argument. It was something that I was thinking about for a good year and a half beforehand, of where I was feeling like I'm not happy in this relationship anymore and I don't know what to do. So we ended up having an argument, and I just kind of sat there and I said, you know what? I said, I'm done. And I looked at him, and it was just silence. And even to this day, it's very hard to remember those feelings, that rawness and that emotion of what happened then. So after I announced that I was done in the relationship, that's when really I was able to speak those words that were they were right in here. They were in my throat. They were cutting me off. And I spoke these words, and you would suspect that you would have a little bit of relief, but that's when it really became real, that the words of "I'm done" truly meant that at this exact moment in time, that my life and what I had built is never going to be the same again. So fast forward about a month later, we ended up leaving our house that we had, separating our finances, all of those things, and going through bankruptcy, which I'll tell you all about that too. That was part of it. And it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. But I had moved into a house in town. I had lived in the country, and the kids and I had moved into a house in town, and we had our, equal custody with the kids. Very good relationship there. It was never anything arguing about the children, which was wonderful. Again, so incredibly blessed to be having a good relationship with the father of my children. And I know that not a lot of people are that fortunate, but that was really important to both of us, was that we got along well, because we have a relationship regardless of if we're in a relationship or not. We have children, so we are going to have this long-term relationship, and we need to make it work out for them. Whenever I got into my new place and had an opportunity to kind of just breathe and settle in, the days were pretty easy, they were kept with the kids and going to work and all of those things. But when I didn't have that distraction from the outside stuff, and I had this alone time where my mind would start drifting, there were absolutely times where I missed the life that I had. And I started remembering all of the great things about the life that I had being married. It was really hard for me to kind of pull myself back from those emotions, because they were still so fresh. And you remember the good things about relationships, you don't remember the bad things about relationships. But what I had to keep on doing is coming back in my mind and saying, yes, those were the really great things, but remember the things that didn't work. Remember the things that will always be there if you were to return to that situation. Are you prepared to let those things lie? And are you prepared to let those things live? One of the reasons why I chose to leave the relationship was because I felt like I lost who I was. When I was in this relationship, it seemed like it was Angie and this person. So we'll call him Andrew. I'm not going to say his real name because that's just to be respectful. So we'll say Angie and Andrew. Angie and Andrew did everything together. Every single function they were at together. There was never a separation. Like, I had people who had relationships where they had the husband wife, but then the wife would have her own friends and they'd have girl nights, and then the guy would have his own friends and they would have guy nights. We didn't have that separation. So I always found that every single time that I wanted to go do something independently, I didn't have the luxury of doing that. So that was something that I definitely craved. And I think that part of that was because I got into a very serious relationship very early in my life. If you can relate to what it is that I'm saying, please give a like to this video. So I started to socialize and get myself out there, but I never had the intent of going out and socializing, getting myself out there and finding another person to soothe my pain that I was feeling in my heart. It was extremely important for me to feel this independence for myself. I didn't want to fall back into a relationship where I just was going back into the exact same thing again. I needed to give my heart, as hard as it was and how hard those raw emotions were, I needed to give my heart the time to heal from those emotions. I needed to give myself the time to find out who I really was. So I went out, had a lot of fun, experienced my youth, I guess is what you would call it. And that was really great. And as I was feeling all of these feelings, Another thing that I really started doing was actually journaling. And I mean, like, I took out my old journal, which is a scribbler, nothing fancy. It's not even neat. And I didn't care because it wasn't a journal that I was going to share with anybody at all. You can barely read the chicken scratch. I put the date on it, and basically I just took and I poured out all of the emotions that I was feeling, all of the rawness and that hurt and that pain, and sometimes those second guessing of, did I do the right thing? Am I going to be okay? Is it always going to feel this way? And I poured all of those emotions into paper to get them out of my head and start healing myself. Because there's this great thing that happens when you start to journal, is that you start to process uncomfortable things. And when you're processing them, you actually start to learn stuff about yourself that you may have never known. Let me know in the comments below whether or not you journal. Journaling was huge for me because it made me see what it was that I wasn't willing to compromise on anymore whenever I decided to go into another relationship. I learned what it was that I truly wanted for myself and what I wanted out of a relationship in the future if I was to have one. Tell me if this makes sense to you. I tell this to my kids all the time because I think it's something that really resonates with me, and maybe it'll resonate with you. It's very important that you learn to be happy for yourself because it's nobody else's job to make you happy. Now let me say that again. It is nobody else's job to make you happy. It is your job to make you happy. No one else's. To me, a divorce is kind of like a death because that is a piece of your life that is gone now. It's gone away. It's something that can be revisited through memories, but you no longer have that anymore. So you need to mourn the loss of your relationship. You need to mend your heart, and you need to find happiness for yourself in order to find happiness in someone else. So this is how I learned how to become independent for myself after my divorce. And I can truly, honestly say that I love to do things on my own. So if you like this video, please give it a subscribe, and I upload new videos every Wednesday. And next week, I'm gonna talk about actually getting back into a relationship, what that looked like, and how I did it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. I'm off to the market, and yeah, bye.